Together, let's chant the invocatory prayer. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 21 to 25. Who is a virtuous person? A virtuous person is one who is pious and righteous. What the society would refer to as a good person. In the society, they will say, oh, he's such a good person. So here they're saying virtuous, a pious, a righteous person who turns towards God, who thinks of God. So any problem, anything is there, he'll first go towards God. So he's approaching God. But a virtuous person need not be a spiritual person. A person could be virtuous and not be spiritual. And that's the distinction they're trying to draw by using the 4 types of worshippers. So these 4 types of worshippers, no doubt all 4 of them are going towards God. It is not what you do in life that matters, it is how you do it. It's not going to a temple that makes a difference. It's not studying the Bhagavad Gita that makes a difference. It's not doing charitable work in the community that makes a difference. It has nothing to do with your external actions. What is the attitude with which you're doing it? See, some people feel depressed and they go and do some community work and they get some joy out of it. They are not actually helping others, they are helping themselves because they are so low and they need people, and they go and be part, they feel part of the community, they are very happy. But they are not unselfish in the terms of trying to do something for the community. So if your thought is, what can I do for others? How can I benefit others, help others? Nothing in return. You're not expecting anything in return. It's a one-way valve. Giving is a one-way valve. There is no return valve. It just goes one way. That is true giving. The moment there is an expectation of even an appreciation, then it ceases to be proper giving. Often it is said, when your right hand gives, your left hand shouldn't know. Your left hand shouldn't know what your right hand is giving. It's a whole saying. Your left hand shouldn't know what your right hand is giving. Means you just give. There's no expectation. Oh, nobody knows that I'm giving. Why should others know you're giving? Huh? Are you giving so that others should know? Is that the reason you're giving? You understand? So unnecessarily the mind brings up its selfishness. The selfishness seeps through even an unselfish action. Even a spiritual action is polluted by selfishness. So the first type of person who goes towards God wants wealth. This is an abuse of prayer, an abuse of worship. Prayer of worship is not meant for this. See, suppose a person is campaigning for the community. Suppose somebody is doing a lot of work for the community. As a result, that person is rewarded with a visit to 10 Downing Street. You know, they're following and saying, oh, this person is doing such good activity in the community. Let's invite. So the person goes to 10 Downing Street, gets a meeting with the Prime Minister. Why? Because of his charitable work that he's doing. And he gets a few seconds with the Prime Minister. And what does he do? He's asking, can I get a free ticket to watch the FA Cup final match? Huh? Can I get free tickets to watch? You understand? So, to a few seconds you have, and you're asking a prime minister for that. It's as absurd as that. You understand the absurdity. So, you get an opportunity to go to the temple, you get an opportunity to meet God, as it were. And what are you doing? God, please, one job I want. Ah, I want 1,000 pounds. I want. It's so absurd. It's an abuse of prayer. Something which is so sacred and so uplifting is reduced to materialist and sensualist thoughts. The person wants wealth, another person wants peace of mind, the third person wants to satisfy intellectual curiosity. The problem is, if you go and talk these things in a temple, you'll be thrown out. Because if you exclude these three types of people, nobody will go to the temple. The temple will have to close down. You understand? Or the churches will have to close down. All the places of worship have to close down. Why will anybody go to a place of worship? You understand? They're wanting something. So, artharthi, jignasu. The three types, first three types. In other words, they're not spiritual. Just externally, they're going towards God. The fourth person is the spiritual person. Who is the spiritual person? They're given a big title. You put a title, Jnani. Ah, suppose you have no qualifications. You want a business card, and they ask you, what's your occupation? What's your title, sir? Oh, Jnani. Put a title. You understand? Anything you put, nobody will understand first of all what it is. So Jnani, who's this Jnani? Jnani is a person who is a spiritual person. And what is spiritual worship? Self-oblivious, non-utilitarian. Make a note of it. So what is true prayer, true worship? Self-oblivious. Self-oblivious means you are not thinking about yourself. The first qualification of prayer is not to think about yourself at all. When you disappear, when that I disappears, then the divinity enters you. The famous words of Christ, empty thyself, I shall fill thee. Empty thyself. Empty yourself of your ego, of that self consciousness. When you empty yourself of that, I will fill you. The divinity enters you. Self oblivious, number one. Number two, non utilitarian. You're not utilizing it for any purpose. See, suppose you love somebody and you want to utilize that love. Will that person appreciate it? You understand? So, a person is showering all the affection on you and you're demanding something from that person. The person will get irritated. They'll say, listen, you don't love me. You just want something from me. So, similarly, if you profess to love God, if you profess to be devoted to God, what are we asking God for? Not only that, you disregard all that God has already provided you. Unasked for, we have been given things right from the time of birth. See, even before birth, we are given an environment in the mother's womb to survive. A perfect environment is created. Who created that? Did you ask for it? Did you even know that environment exists? And then you come out, and as soon as you come out, the mother's milk is available to the mother to feed you. The mother's milk is not available, you won't survive. Who designed it? So, right from birth, you're protected, you're taken care of. There's oxygen available to you, there's a right atmospheric pressure. There are thousands and thousands of factors we are not even aware of. You disregard all that and you say, I want my daughter to get married. I want more hair on my head. Huh? So, what and all people ask for, and I want to just straighten my nose. The shape of my nose has to be straightened. So, 99 things you're not appreciating. That one thing that you lack, you're focusing on that. Ingratitude, stronger than traitors' arms, quite vanquished him, said Mark Antony during the famous oration. He said, what killed Caesar is not the daggers of the conspirators. He says, it's not the daggers which kill Caesar. Then what killed Caesar? Ingratitude, stronger than traitors' arms, quite vanquished him. Because what killed Caesar was Brutus. The final blow was Brutus, e tu brute. Even you are killing me. My dearest friend, you're killing me. It's not worth living. If my dearest friend is coming to kill me, e tu brute. So, ingratitude. Ingratitude is you're not aware of all the things you're given. And you're saying one thing is missing, one thing is missing. The problem is nobody understands what they're doing. They're not aware of what they're doing. So, Jnani, wise person. See, why is he called a wise person? Because some of you may be thinking, actually, he's a stupid fellow, you know. Because if I get a chance to meet God, I'll ask plenty of things, you know, and God will give me. This fellow is not asking anything, stupid fellow is. Why are you calling him wise person? I'll give you a story to explain why he's a wise person. There was a kingdom, it's just a story. Don't Google and all that. It's just a story. So there's a kingdom, and this king was ruling the kingdom very well. He had his queen, the wife, and their son, beautifully they were taken care of. And suddenly, one day, the queen passed away. The queen died. Now the king was stuck, not stuck, but he had the son. He doesn't know how to take care of the son and also take care of the kingdom. So he tried. Then it was too difficult for him to manage on his own. He asked the help of a maid. This maid used to be with the queen. So he requested her to take care of the son. The maid did an excellent job. So much so that the king didn't have to think. He almost forgot he had a son. And not in the wrong way, meaning she took care of him so well. And she attended to everything. One day, that boy who was a prince, he was going out into the road and a chariot was coming fast. And the maid, she jumped over him, saved his life. And the chariot ran over her. So she was operated and all that. And anyway, she survived. And the king was mightily happy with her. He said, "My God, what a sacrifice. You saved the son, you saved the kingdom. He's the future heir to the throne. I'm eternally grateful to you." The king told the maid, "Ask me whatever you want, I'll give you. Do you want to be made a duchess? I'll make you a duchess." He told her. Do you want a big portion of the kingdom? I'll give you a big portion of the kingdom. In other words, she could have asked him anything at that time. He said this, that, that. She said, no, no, no. He said, listen, just for my sake, ask something, I can give you anything you want. Then she said, are you sure you'll give anything? Of course, I'm telling you in front of the court, anything you want, I'll give you. She said, okay, in that case, I want you. I want you. He said, what? I want you. You said you'll give anything. Oh, then for a moment he thought she was good looking. So he said, oh, she's a good looking person. Anyway, he doesn't have a wife. Huh? And she takes care of the boy also well. They'll get on very well. He said, why not? He said, okay, good idea. Let's get together. So anyway, so they got married. And what happened? When she got him, she got everything. You understand? So if she had settled for anything less, she would only got that. But when she got the king, she got everything. She could rule over him also. You understand? Everything she could, she got everything. Exactly, that's what a jnani gets. So what does a jnani get? When he gets God, he gets everything. But people are stupid. They got a little wealth, one job, one this thing, one. Stupid. So that's why he says wise person. Wise person waits for the big thing. He doesn't go for small things. You think spiritual people are stupid. You understand? They're not stupid. They're going for the big jackpot. They don't want the small things. So see the four types. You've got that? There you go. Arthati, seeker of wealth. Artha, seeker of peace. Jignasu, seeker of knowledge. All three are non-spiritual. Fourth one, jnani, wise, is a seeker of God, seeker of truth. Then in the next verse, we looked at two qualities of the jnani. In fact, straight away eliminates the first three. It's not worth talking about the first three. The next verse, he gets on to only the jnani. And what are the two qualities of the jnani? Ever steadfast and single-pointed devotion. Nitya yukta eka bhakti. Ever steadfast. Consistent. See, consistent in the sense that even if you fall, you get back quickly. If at all you go through a fall, and everybody falls at some stage in their life, it's not the fall that matters, but how quickly you're able to get back on your feet, so to speak. That's why in Vedanta we say when you fall, you should fall like a rubber ball, not like a lead plate. You fall like a lead plate, broke. Is it nothing? Rubber ball bounce back. It bounce back. What is that? Pogo stick, isn't it? Pogo stick. Huh? They keep bouncing. So, Nitya Yukta, ever steadfast. Eka Bhakti, single point of devotion. one pointed, unwavering. And then the 18th verse, where we stopped last week, he says, "Noble indeed are all this, but the jnani I deem as verily myself." All these people are noble. He's just being polite to them. You understand? They're being very polite. The noble indeed are all these, but the jnani I deem as verily myself. He's the guy I'm fond of. For steadfast in mind, he is established in me alone as a supreme goal. He is identifying with me, he is thinking about me. As a result, he becomes one with me. As you think, so you become. So you follow that law of identification. Steadfast in mind is established in me alone as a supreme goal. Do we have that verse? 18th verse. There you go. Noble indeed are all these. He's summarizing all the first three. They're noble, but the fourth one, the jnani, I deem as verily myself. For steadfast in mind is established in me alone as the supreme. There are four stages of enjoyment. And what are these four stages of enjoyment? The four Sanskrit words. I'll first state it and then I will explain it. The first stage of enjoyment is called salokyam. Salokyam means inhabiting the same world. You're in the same world, there's a joy that you get, there's an enjoyment that you get. Then the second stage is called samipyam, where you are in the vicinity of the object of your love. You're in the same world, number one. Then second is samipyam, you're getting nearer, you're in the vicinity. Third is sarupyam, you see the object of love. Rupa means form, you see the form. And fourth is sayujyam, you become one. Suppose a person is coming to meet somebody whom he loves. You understand? He lands in that, he's coming from a foreign country. He comes to this country. He lands in the country. There's a joy. Why there's a joy? Oh, she is in the same country. You understand? Such a huge country. He doesn't even know where. But the fact that he's in the same country, there's a joy. Then as he's driving towards the house, is more excitement, more pleasure, more joy. And then she opens the door. Ah, ah, my God, so much pleasure, so much pleasure. You understand what is the? And then finally goes and hugs her, becomes one in that sense. Sayujyam. So same principle applies with reference to the enjoyment of the self, spiritual enjoyment. The spiritual enjoyment also follows these four steps. So let's see that first. You can make a note of it, and then I'll explain to you how it applies with reference to the self. So salokyam, loka means world. So salokyam means inhabiting same location as the object of pursuit. You're going towards an object which you love. You're inhabiting the same location. Samipyam is getting nearer, approaching that object, getting closer. Sarupyam, seeing the form of the object. And sayujyam, merging with it, becoming one with it. So even a child goes to Disneyland. You understand? It's like that. Flight lands in America. Oh, oh, you're there, we're there. No, we're not there. We just landed in America. Oh, they're excited because in the same world, in the same location. Then, as you're driving closer, uh, joy is more. Then you actually see the buildings, Rupa. Then you go and hug who? Mickey Mouse. You go and hug, Sayujyam. Merge with that object. So this is the four stages. So what is this spiritually? How does it apply? Spiritually, how it applies is when you turn introverted. So where does the self exist? Where does the self lie? It lies within. It lies internally. So the moment you turn introverted, you are inhabiting the same location of the self. That gives you pleasure. That gives you joy. The You've not reached the self, you don't know the self, you've not seen the self. The very fact that you've turned inward, it takes a lot of effort to become introverted. The first requirement for becoming introverted is not to criticize anything. The moment you're criticizing the world, you become extroverted. You understand the nature of the world, you accept the nature of people. If you do that, you won't criticize. You know they are what they are. Instead, you start examining yourself. You start finding out your faults and improving your faults, getting rid of your faults. That is introversion. So, that effort to turn inward gives you enjoyment. All your agitations will go down instantly. The more you're extroverted, the more you're involved with others, you will be disturbed, you will be agitated. Why is he doing like this? Why is she doing like that? He shouldn't be wearing this. He shouldn't be eating that. Why are you appointing yourself self-appointed judge of others' conscience? No. You as a self-appointed judge. You're judging everybody. Let them do whatever they want to do. What is your problem? Oh, they're destroying themselves. Let them destroy themselves. Huh? Did they ask you to save them? You understand? If you're asked to save, then you save. If you're asked to protect, you protect. They're not asking you anything. They want to destroy. Let them destroy. So you mind your business. So you look at what you need to do to improve yourself. Whoever wants help, you're ready to give them help. So you're not stopping that, but you're not interfering with others' nature. Then second step is you're becoming more and more introverted. You're getting closer and closer to the self. As a result, the pleasure increases. So first is you just change the direction towards the self. There's happiness. That's the first step. Second step is you get closer to the self, more introverted. Then the third step is you see the glimpse of the self. You see the divinity splashed in this world. As you develop spiritually, you see the splash of divinity everywhere. That's what is called sarupyam, seeing the form. And ultimately, you merge with the self in the state of self realization. That's the fourth step. The salokyam would be becoming introverted. Samipyam is more introverted. Sarupyam is to see the divinity everywhere in the world. And Sayujyam is the merger of self realization. So gradually the happiness increases step by step. Let's show them that slide once more. So just in case some of you didn't register, Salokyam, Samipyam, Sarupyam, Sayojyam. Gradually it increases. So Salokyam is introverted. Samipyam is more introverted. Sarupyam is to see the divinity everywhere. Sayujam is to become one with the self. Okay, so let's move on to the next verse number 19.
बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति समहात्मा सुदुर्लभः बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति समहात्मा सुदुर्लभः.
At the end of many births, the man of wisdom reaches me, realizing that all is Vasudeva, which is translated as reality, another name for Lord Krishna. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. At the end of many births, Bahunam Janmanamante. People will quote this. They'll quote this verse and say, see, it says here, it'll take many births to reach self-realization. Many births is going to take many births. Now, the thing that you've got to understand is nothing is preordained. Nothing is fixed that it's going to take you 45 births. Another person it's going to take 95 births. There's nothing like that. There's nothing preordained. Then you may ask, why do they say like this? Now, what you need to understand is the same Bhagavad Gita, other verses, some other verses, they say to get enlightenment is Shipram. Shipram means very quickly you can get it. Very soon you can get it. Here they're saying it's going to take many births, many janmas. Another portion of the Gita he says exactly the opposite. Very quickly you can get it. Very soon you can get it. They blow hot and cold. Now what they're trying to do is they are testing you. They're testing your resolve. How committed you are, how determined you are. If a person is not determined and committed, he will take this as an excuse and say, see, it's going to take many births. Forget it, man. I'm not going to put in any effort. But if a person is determined, they'll say, no. I want to get it. Somehow or the other, I'll get it. See, it's a challenge. He'll take it up as a challenge and get it. Now, what determines the spiritual timeline? There are two factors that decide spiritual timeline. In other words, how quickly you develop spiritually. The first is the amount of vasanas that you have. The second is the amount of self-effort you're willing to invest in. A person could have plenty of vasanas. So much vasanas he has, he can even give you a few more and you won't even know he's given. So much vasanas he has. Plenty. So he's got plenty of vasanas, but he's also putting in a lot of effort. What will happen? He can get rid of the vasanas quickly because his effort is ongoing, very determined efforts. But if he's not making any effort, then the vasanas are there. It's going to take him many lifetimes. But if a person has got less vasanas, even less effort is enough to remove all that. You understand? So different permutations and combinations, but primarily two factors: the number of asanas and the amount of self effort that you're ready to invest in. Tell me what to do. I'll do it. What do you want me to do to develop spiritually? Tell me. I will do it. I'm ready. I'm committed. How many people you get like that? You understand? Very rare to find a person. That's what he's saying. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Also, psychologically speaking, when you're told this, see, at the end of many births, you'll get enlightenment. How does a pessimist think? The pessimist thinks, oh my God, many births, which means what? He treats this birth as the first birth. You understand? He says, this is the first birth. It's going to take many births to come. But an optimist can turn the whole thing around and say, maybe I've already gone through the births. Maybe this is the last birth. How do you know? How do you know? Which is the first birth or last birth? You don't know. So the pessimist says, oh, the first birth and many births. Optimist say, maybe this is the last birth, man. Come on, let me get it. He'll get it. It's so interesting how what the psychology they're using. They're absolutely brilliant. Because you want an excuse to indulge in the world. And let spirituality wait. Let me enjoy the world little more visits to the pub, huh? More thing, little indulgence. Let me do with all this way. So that attitude is what is being tested here. What's your attitude? How determined and committed you are. At the end of many births, the man of wisdom reaches me, realizing that all is Vasudeva. The man of wisdom is called as a jnanavan. Jnana, you all know, is wisdom. Jnanavan is a man of wisdom, a person of wisdom. And the man of wisdom becomes a great soul, Mahatma. Mahatma literally means a great soul. It's also a title given, like Gandhi had the title Mahatma Gandhi. So a great soul, somebody who is sacrificed, who has contributed great things to the world. So the Jnanavan, man of wisdom, becomes a Mahatma, becomes a great soul. That transformation, he's saying, the man of wisdom becomes a great soul. See, what is the difference between a man of wisdom and a great soul? Hardly any difference. You understand? We are sort of hair splitting. What is the difference between this and this person? Now, there's a concept called partial realization. We often discuss about self-realization, but the progress towards self-realization is also interjected by another state called partial realization. Now, how is it possible that you can partially realize the self? It's not possible. Either you realize the self or not. In other words, either you wake up from the dream or you're asleep. Half awake, half dreaming. How is it possible? So what is that partial realization? The state of partial realization is called as Savikalpa Samadhi. And full realization, total realization is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Samadhi means enlightenment. Partial enlightenment or total enlightenment. When a person is not developed, when a person is attached to the world, the person is full of ignorance, full of ego. Such a person sees differences everywhere. He sees everybody to be different. Lots of differences he perceives in the world. As you develop spiritually, reduce your ignorance, reduce your ego, the differences reduce. You feel one with others. So the person who's not developed at all is in a stage of plurality. He sees pluralistic beings, differences. And as you develop, you see oneness, everything comes together. There's a common thread that you see with all beings. Then the second stage, which is the stage of partial realization, is you see everybody as one. You've developed so highly, you're so spiritual that you don't see any differences. You see everyone as one, not only human beings, all creatures as well. That is the stage known as universal love. There's a universal love, a universal identification. You see everything as one. So the plurality becomes duality. You see everything as one, but the fact is you are perceiving that oneness. So there is you and the oneness. Two things. That's a duality. There is a perceiver and a perceived. I am experiencing that universal love. So earlier it used to be plurality. That plurality becomes duality. Two things. This duality is the stage of partial realization. Then the next stage, when you drop the last remaining ego, the last traces of ignorance, you become one with the self. Thereafter, there is no ego, there is no perceiver. The individuality disappears completely. You become one with the totality, which is total realization, full realization. There, the duality disappears and you get oneness, total oneness. Interestingly, if you analyze it this way, universal love is strictly speaking not the state of self realization. It is one step below self realization. So, self realization is beyond universal love. But we don't examine these two things separately. We combine it as the state of self realization. But if you want to split it, like I said, it's a very small difference. It's not a so from where we are now to that state, you'll say, what is there? There's no difference. But this is when you are highly developed and advanced, then you see the differences. It's like the difference between a billionaire and a trillionaire. Uh, You see, listen, what difference does it make, billionaire or trillionaire? 10,000 pounds, if I get, is enough. You understand? If we are in that condition and you're talking about the difference between billionaire and trillionaire, it makes no difference. Similarly, when you say partial realization, total realization, both are very high. So it's not that it's not an ordinary state, even partial realization. But just to understand the difference, so see that there's two stages to self realization. Savikalpa Samadhi, partial realization, is when the plurality disappears and duality lingers. You are perceiving the oneness. There's you and oneness, duality. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is total realization when duality disappears and you just perceive oneness. At the end of many births, the man of wisdom reaches me, realizing that All is Vasudeva, is another name for Krishna. Such a great soul is very difficult to find. Very difficult to find. It's like precious gems are difficult to find. Huh? It's not easy to find. Also, interestingly, there's a saying that the prophets are not known in their own town. There's a saying, prophets are not known in their own town. So, see, when did Christ become famous? Christ was not famous during his lifetime. During his lifetime, he was crucified. He was infamous. He became famous only 50 years or 100 years after his death. You take any self realized person, they don't achieve anything in their lifetime. They are known much, much later. How many disciples did Christ have? 10, 11, 12, isn't it? Hardly any disciples. Buddha had maybe 11 disciples, 12 disciples. That's all. And of the 12 disciples, one fellow gave up Christ. You understand? He can't be even counted as a disciple. So, what is their thing? What knowledge they had, what capacity they had. So that's what he's saying. It's very difficult to find. You need that courage and conviction to pursue the self. In one of the scriptures, they highlight the difficulty. So what they're saying is, to be born as a human being is rare. So he says here, a great soul is very difficult to find. To which in that scripture he traces, he says, even to be born as a human being is rare. There are billions and billions of other creatures. The How many human beings are there? They can be counted. Maybe 9 billion or 10 billion human beings in the world. That's about it. You take any other creature, there's hundreds of billions of other creatures. So, of all those hundreds of millions, to be born as a human being, the proportion is infinitesimal. In this room, it's not only my room, any room that you're all sitting in, there are thousands, millions of creatures. You understand? Unicellular organisms. This thing, so anywhere you go, there's thousands, billions of creatures. A born human being is rare, number one. Then the scripture says, okay, you could be born as a human being, but you could live an animalistic life. You could be like an animal, terrorizing people, killing people, bloodthirsty, not really qualifying as a human being. But if you're born as a human being and you have fine values, if you're sattvic in nature, is very rare. Out of this 10 billion people in the world, how many people can count themselves as sattvic in nature? Very rare. And then you're born as a human being, you're sattvic, then to get the right knowledge and right guidance is again very rare. How many people get the right type of knowledge, the right type of guidance? Very rare. You're born as a human being, you're sattvic in nature, you got the right knowledge, you got the right guidance, and yet you don't develop spiritually. You leave your spiritual development. He says, what a waste. What a waste. Alas, alas. Hanta. Hanta means alas, alas. What a waste. What a waste. So much potential you have, you've thrown it all away. Very, very interesting what they say. So the that's why he says such a great soul is very difficult to find. It's not easy. It takes that courage and conviction. Okay. Is everything clear? Let's move on to the next verse, verse 20.
कामैः प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया.
Those deprived of wisdom approach other gods through various desires, resorting to corresponding rites led by their own nature. As you can see, now there's a shift in the theme. Now, what is the shift in the theme here? He is referring to those people who approach other gods. He is not talking about gods in plural. Now, whenever they talk about gods in plural, they are talking about finite ideals in the world, worldly goals, worldly ideals. When they refer to God in singular, they mean Brahman, the Supreme God. Approaching other gods means pursuing something other than Brahman. If you're pursuing Brahman, what does that mean? You're interested in self realization, nothing else. You just want Brahman, nothing else. You're not interested in anything else. But wanting other gods, approaching other gods means you want to satisfy other desires in the world. And that's the uh, thing that you find the symbolism of gods and goddesses in Hinduism, particularly, that you got a variety of gods and goddesses. And each of these gods and goddesses represent a desire. A desire for wealth is represented by goddess Lakshmi. Desire for knowledge by Saraswati. Desire for success by Ganesha. Desire for strength by Hanuman, etc., etc. Different desires. There's a god of love. There's a god of even disease. Also has been deified as a god or a goddess. So different gods means the different worldly ideals where a person is pursuing desires. Those deprived of wisdom approach other gods. So if you have wisdom, you will pursue Brahman. You pursue the highest. You want the best. But if you don't have that wisdom, then you settle for something less. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Famous statement in the Quran. La ilaha illallah. What that literally means is there exists nothing but God. Allah. Allah is the same as Brahman. Allah is Brahman, means that supreme being, that supreme consciousness. La ilaha illallah. There exists nothing else but Allah. Allah means God. Only Brahman exists, nothing else. Exactly the same as what the Bhagavad Gita says. The direction given by the scriptures is to proceed towards that Allah, towards that Brahman. In Christianity, it is called as Father in heaven. So whether you use Brahman, whether you use Allah or Father in heaven, they all mean the same. And that's where the scriptures are directing you towards. But a person who is not able to sustain the thought sinks into the desires, gives into desires. See that famous statement in the Quran. La ilaha illallah. There exists nothing but God. Only God exists. It's a philosophical statement, but it's being made into a religious sentiment. Religious sentiment is actually a philosophical statement. It has a very deep meaning. It is universally applicable to everybody. Those deprived of wisdom approach other gods. How do they approach other gods? Through various desires, resorting to corresponding rites led by their own nature. See, the language is very spiritual, but the application of this is very wide. Now, what they're trying to say is, suppose a person has got vasanas for flying an aircraft. Hmm? Suppose a person has got piloting vasanas. He wants to be a pilot vasanas. Now, what does that person do? The person tries to qualify, trains himself or herself to become a pilot, goes for an interview, all the thing, and then joins a commercial airline or joins an air force, and actually flies the plane. That's exactly what they're saying. So, what they're saying is each person pursues depending upon their vasanas. A person who's got medicine vasanas approaches medical school. A person with law vasanas approaches a law school. Whatever vasanas you have, you approach the world in that area. You pursue in that particular area. So they approach through various desires, resorting to corresponding rites led by their own nature. Your own nature means your vasanas. According to your vasanas, you're approaching. You're trying to satisfy your desires in that area. He's talking about the general pursuit of the world. What is the world pursuing? They're all pursuing various desires. Where do these desires come from? Comes from your own vasanas. So based on your vasanas, you choose a field of activity. And through that field of activity, you're satisfying your desire. See, the approach in the Bhagavad Gita is they only analyze. They are not saying, they're not commenting on anything. They're not saying this is right or this is wrong. That's not the style here. It's just an analysis being made. And using that analysis, you've got to think about it, you've got to reflect, and you've got to see it in the world, how these things work. Your role is not to criticize and say, see, they are all following the desires. That's not your job. Your job is not to criticize, but just to observe and learn. The person has a vasana, therefore they're pursuing that vasana and they're trying to get happiness by satisfying their desires in that particular field of activity. Just observe it and learn this. That's all. It's not like this is right or that is wrong. There's nothing right or wrong. You just understand and learn what life is. More you understand the Bhagavad Gita, the less you will comment upon the world. The more introverted you become, less you will criticize others, less you will criticize the world. You won't have time for the world because you have time for yourself, for your personal rehabilitation, for your personal improvement. Okay, let's stop here for today. Nilesh,
Hari Om, Bhaskarji.
Hari Om, Nilesh. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Bhaskarji, The question is, we have these two categories, vicious and virtuous.
Hmm.
So, and in verse 16, all these four worshippers are mentioned as virtuous people.
Hmm.
So, are the virtuous category is broadly classified for those who seek God, and vicious is those who do not believe or those who do not seek God, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So slightly in this verse 16, if we leave the jnani, the rest three are still like they are, as you said today in the class, that it's like abusing.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so those three ideally should be in the vicious category. And then I also read in the book
No,
after last class.
no.
Uh,
It depends on how you're defining it. See, the vicious and virtuous. See, in other words, if you take it from the absolute level, it's only a person who is pursuing Brahman is virtuous. Everybody else is vicious.
mhm.
It depends upon what is the bar with which you're measuring it. What is that standard with which you're measuring it? As you raise the bar and the standards increase, more people become vicious. Ultimately, you're just left with that one person who is pursuing. That's why we are also. I'm also interpreting in different ways. In a very general sense, you say the fact that he's going to the place of worship, he's going towards God, he's a virtuous person. A very superficial way, you understand. But when you actually get into the attitude of that person, what is that person actually thinking about? Then you see maybe he's not as virtuous as we believe that person to be. You understand? There's a lot of selfishness still in that person. So if you say, okay, the fact that the person is selfish is vicious, then yes, then that person is vicious. To the extent you are selfish, if you're considered vicious, then even some of these virtuous people are also vicious. In other words, you're a combination of both. You could be a little bit vicious, a little bit virtuous. A combination. You increase your virtuous nature, decrease your vicious nature.
And Bhaskarji, in the book, in
Mm.
verse 15, they gave an example of Ravana, the demonic qualities, yeah, Ravana. But Ravana was worshipper of Lord Shiva. He was a big worshipper of Lord Shiva. So
That's what.
when, yeah,
So he abducted Sita. He's done
yeah.
so many terrible actions. There's one part of him which is virtuous, and there's another good solid part of him which is vicious. Practically, both these
Mhm.
qualities can be identified in every person. Until you achieve enlightenment, when you're enlightenment, you're 100% virtuous.
Okay, okay,
Below that, you're a combination of both.
okay, okay. Thank you, Bhaskarji.
Welcome. So you ask the question, it helps others also. They've all put their hands down. They all had something to clarify. After I answered, they got the answer. Uh, they all, oh no, no, oh, they're all raising again. Jigna.
Hari Om Bhaskarji. I was just wondering, when you have universal love
Mm.
and but you assess people as per their vasanas, how do you differentiate that in real life? Like, do you just intellectually know that they are Brahman, but know that they have different vasanas, or your assessment of character? Like, what does that look like?
Oh, you mean a universal love?
Yeah.
What is it? See, universal love is you see the self in everyone. You see that self, you're x-raying through their body, mind, intellect, and you see the self in everyone. Because you see the self in you see that same self reflected in others. And that's what is giving you that feeling of oneness with everyone. That's why I'm saying it's almost self realization. But the fact that you are perceiving it, there's a perceiver and a perceived, that's why we're calling it as partial realization. So, one more step you need to take to remove that last trace of ego, the last trace of duality. Is as good as self realization, but technically speaking, they're still short of it.
So there's no like, you don't like or dislike anything. It's just, you just accept everyone for who they are, and you
No, you,
really,
you have likes and dislikes. You have likes and dislikes, you have preferences, but you don't allow those likes and dislikes to control you. See, a simple example would be, would you like tea or coffee? No, 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 I'm practicing universal love. Anything is okay. Right? Simple. Make my life easier. Please answer. Would you like tea or coffee? Would you like still or sparkling? Any water is okay. I'm spiritually developed, I don't have likes and dislikes. Hey, we just I want to take an order, ma'am. Please, you just tell me clearly what you want, still or sparkling. You understand? So that fellow will resign his job as a waiter. He'll give up his job. That's not the thing. See, when you're asked, when you're given a choice, you choose what you like very clearly. When the choice is given, you say, yes, I like still, please, or like sparkling, please, very clearly. So there's nothing wrong in having preferences, but the preferences are not driving your actions. You're not going towards what you like and avoiding what you dislike. No, I will do what I dislike if it is right for me. I'll still do it. It is the right thing to do. So your pattern of life is not dictated by likes and dislikes, but incidentally you have likes and dislikes. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's what makes you a different person than others. The personality is determined by your likes and dislikes. Otherwise, it's boring. There's no likes and dislikes. It's become boring. There are likes and dislikes, but you're not dictated by them. That's the difference. Karuna?
Hari Om Bhaskarji.
Yes, Karuna.
I had some questions about prayers, Bhaskarji. 2 or 3 questions. One is, obviously, if you're having a selfish prayer, oh God, please give me this job. I don't know if that's ever going to be answered, but what about the selfless prayer where you might be praying for someone to get well, or if something horrible has happened, for that to pass for them? And
What
is it our imagination?
So you're
If they've
reminding.
got some trouble.
So what are you doing?
Sorry?
You're reminding God He's not doing His job.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Is it our imagination that somebody's sitting up there listening to our prayers or answering
No,
them?
no.
Like, who
Even
is
even if you
actually dealing with
even
that?
even if you take it, there is a God up there. You're reminding God He's not doing His job, looking after others. What are you praying for others? You're reminding God, oh God, you've forgotten them. Huh?
No,
You're
I'm just
placing
saying
yourself.
sometimes groups of people.
You are placing yourself above God to remind Him. What are you?
I'm asking the question. I'm saying sometimes groups of people pray collectively for someone to get
I
better.
know what you're talking about. The people praying for world peace, and exactly what you're talking about.
World peace, exactly.
I'm making you think because you're not able to understand. I'm not talking about you doing it. I'm putting
Yeah.
it in a way so that you can think about it. So it may not apply to you. You may be observing something and you're asking the question. So I'm saying,
Yes.
what are they praying? What are they doing? Are they putting themselves above God to remind God? So that's none of your business. Each one gets what they deserve. When you understand that law, when you understand that principle, you invest in the right actions. I will get what I deserve. Everybody else will get what they deserve. If if I'm doing the right actions, I'll get what I deserve. That's all. It's nothing to do with God. God is not favoring one person and not favoring the other person. God is just
So the question sorry. What I wanted to say was, when people think, oh yes, we've had a miracle, our prayers have been answered, is that imagination?
it is imagination because they're
What's
ignorant.
happened in that situation?
They're ignorant. They don't understand what God is. You're following the Bhagavad Gita class. Don't you understand what is the definition of God? What is the quality of God? God is a sakshi, is a witness.
Witness, yeah.
Have you not read it? It's there.
But I'm just asking, how does it work? If people think their prayers have been answered, I'm just thinking, how is that possible? Who is answering their prayer?
Coincidental. So
Coincidental. Okay.
they have
Yeah,
done.
that's good to
They
know.
might
Because I
have.
was thinking I
They,
thought it's their imagination. They think, yes, God's answered my prayer. I'm so special. But it must be just your karma or whatever.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Bhaskarji.
Sorry. All right. So you all deserve some rest now. Huh? You've used your intellect a lot for an hour. All right, everyone. On that note, let's
Hari Om
conclude.
Bhaskarji. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you
Hari Om.
so much.
Hari Om
Thank you.
Bhaskarji.